What's your favorite board? Do you like belt drive or hub motor boards?
It's a tie.
You like them both? Belt drive or hub
Hey,
motors?
what you young whippersnappers doing over here?
What is whippersnappers?
Whippersnapper?
You ain't familiar with the lingo?
Nah, man. I haven't heard that in a long time. Whippersnappers.
Hey, what's all this? What's this?
Man, these are electric skateboards. This is my brand new board right here, the Lycaon Swift, man. Get ready to test it out. We just got it. About to test it out.
What'd you say?
Lycaon Swift.
Swift.
Yeah.
Like Kanye West.
Baby.
Lycaon Swift. Oh, that looks nice.
Yeah, kind of like, like the werewolf. Lycan.
Okay.
Yeah, Lycan. Yeah.
Hey, are they giving a free COVID test over there?
Free COVID test.
Oh, that's not.
Hello and welcome to the channel. Incredibly excited to be speaking to you today about the Lycaon Swift. And in addition to giving you my normal review, I will also share why I think that this board is probably one of the most underrated boards at this particular price point. So let's get into it, starting with the deck. This board is composed of 8 layers of Canadian maple and 1-ply of fiberglass. The board also has a drop-down deck with a very, very nice concave. And the other thing I like about the top of the deck is that the area where you actually place your feet, the board actually expands out a little bit. And in my opinion, that really helped with the ride comfort because you get to have a really nice stance on the board and your feet are not being flexed unevenly or uncomfortably when riding the board. So I really like how Lycaon did that on the deck. This board also has a max load capacity of around 330 pounds. And that's going to be great for heavier riders out there. Because this deck is on the stiffer side, I think that plays a variety of different factors. One of which is the battery on this board is incredibly large. So having a deck that doesn't flex too much, you don't have to worry about your battery enclosure scraping and hitting the ground. The other thing that you're going to notice is that for heavier riders, this is probably going to be a very solid board because I often get that question from heavier riders. They say, I'm 250, I'm 260, I'm 270. What is a good board for me to ride? And I don't have to worry about having too much flex. And I think this board could actually fit the bill for those heavier riders out there. Now, when you look underneath the board, they did an amazing job with the color scheme, I feel. I think it looks very nice and very professional looking. Now, when you look at the top of the deck, you're also going to notice that they have the logo of the board company up there. I think it looks pretty good. But one of the things that just really amazes me about this deck, which is really fascinating, is this grip tape is very texturized. It doesn't seem like it's your typical normal grip tape that you see on regular skateboards. And I feel like it really allows you to lock your feet in place and carve and pump around very well. So when you talk about the deck, I don't have any major complaints whatsoever. It's pretty solid to me. Now that's going to take us into the trucks. The rear trucks are flanker trucks, and then the front of the trucks are actually Paris clones, I believe. And to be honest about it, I have no major complaints whatsoever with these trucks. I actually really like them. This was one of the first boards that I received that when I got it, I did absolutely nothing to the trucks to enjoy the ride experience. And when I was riding, I felt incredibly stable when hitting high speeds, and the board really carves incredibly well. Some of that probably has to deal with the trucks, but then also the way the concave of this deck is and the grip tape. It really makes for a wonderful riding experience when you talk about carving and pumping around. I really have no major complaints whatsoever when you talk about these trucks. And that's going to take us into the wheels, another area that I'm very impressed with when you talk about this board. The wheels are 78A durometer and 90 millimeters. And the interesting thing about this particular board is that I have the hub motor system, but when you purchase this board, you can also elect to select the belt drive version. However, when you talk about hub motor boards, a lot of people have been leaning away from them because they're not typically as comfortable when you talk about boards that may have belt drive, because we have belt drive, you have actually 4 real wheels. But with this particular board, because they're utilizing the hobby wing motors, it allows you to put on the cloud wheel donuts on this particular board. And if you're unfamiliar with the cloud wheel donuts, I have a full-fledged review of them, but some quick details about those cloud wheel donuts is that they actually fit hub motor boards. So you'll have standardized wheels in the front, and then in the back, you will have like a polyurethane type sleeve of the cloud wheels in the back. And those cloud wheels really dampen up cracks and vibrations, and it just increases the ride comfort. So people that want to purchase a hub motor board because they want less maintenance and such, if you're looking to also get that comfort, you can put on those cloud wheel donuts. So I really have no major complaints when you talk about these wheels. This board, even though it's a hub motor system, it is incredibly comfortable, and I really enjoy the ride experience on this particular board. The ESC and the remote. This board is utilizing the Hobby Wing ESC, and a lot of people love this particular ESC because it's intuitive and you don't get jerked around when accelerating and braking. It's very predictable. But in addition to just utilizing the normal Hobby Wing ESC, they're actually going with one of the most updated versions of the ESC, which allows people to have something called standby mode. That allows riders to actually turn the board on by just simply turning on the remote. I love that. You don't have to bend over, touch the board, turn on the board, or anything like that. So that's very cool. I really enjoy that. Now, of course, because this is a Hobby Wing ESC, it's also going to come with the Hobby Wing remote, and it's coming with that newer remote that has a screen indicator on there that gives you a plethora of information: board battery, speed mode, how many miles per hour you're traveling, an odometer, all those good details that we look for in a remote. One of the other things I want to comment on that I like about this particular remote is that Lycaon actually put some of their marketing and their labels on the board, and I like this for a variety of different reasons. I have about 5 of these different remotes, and I can't tell you how many times I've gone out to try to ride and I picked up the wrong remote. I love that Lycaon actually has their information on this remote so you can identify quickly that this remote belongs to this particular board. So I have no major concerns when you talk about the ESC or the remote on this board. I actually really like the setup. The battery. And this is probably going to take us into probably the most unique thing about this board. This board is utilizing Samsung 35V 18650 cells. It's coming in a 12S 3P configuration and has 10.5 amp hours, and the board has 466 watt hours. That is a huge battery. And Lycaon advertises that this board is supposed to get upwards of 20 to 25 miles range. Now, I did not get a chance to do a range test because when I got this board, I just wanted to ride it and have a good time. But what I can tell you is this: in one of the rides that we took, we rode about 6.5 miles and I only lost 1 bar. And this ride had some hills. We were riding aggressively. And when I got to my destination and realized that I only used 1 bar, it really blew me out of the water. It seems like the range is going to be incredibly impressive. Now, when you talk about the watt hours, there are many other AT style boards that the battery runs the entire length of the deck, and their boards only have like 500 watt hours. So that is crazy that you're getting that amount of watt hours in a board that has this form factor. Now, that battery setup is going to be amazing for heavier riders as well. As I mentioned a little bit earlier, I often get that question from heavier riders as to whether or not what is a good board. Now, in addition to this deck being a little bit on the stiffer side, which will help heavier riders, that large battery is really going to help heavier riders because it's going to help you get a lot more range than what you will see in boards that have smaller batteries. So I think that this is a really solid setup when you talk about the battery setup and things like that. So another area that I think that Lycaon just did incredibly well when you talk about this particular board. Very impressive stuff right there. The motors and the torque. This is another area that this board is doing a very good job in. As I alluded to a little bit earlier today, I actually have the hub motor system, but when you purchase this board, you can elect to go with the belt drive. Now, some people enjoy belt drive because traditionally it has a little bit more torque and such, but belt drive also comes with a little bit more maintenance, which is why some people prefer to have the hub motor system because it's more of a sealed system. You don't have to worry about dirt and debris getting into your system or anything like that. So it's a very nice option to be able to choose whether or not you want belt drive or hub motor systems. Now, as I mentioned a little bit earlier as well, because they're utilizing the Hobby Wing motors, individuals can now utilize those new cloud wheel donuts. And the cloud wheel donuts are very nice wheels for a couple of different reasons. One of which is it really helps to eat up those cracks and those vibrations, especially when you talk about a hub motor system. So that is a very nice option. Now, when you talk about the stock setup that comes with this board, I'm just gonna be honest and reason with you guys. This is probably one of the most comfortable, out of the box hub motor systems that I've ridden. And I think it probably has something to do with the wheels that they're using. This board has some great polyurethane on this board. So even though this is a hub motor system, it is not a bad riding experience whatsoever. It's actually very, very enjoyable, to be honest about it. If you're familiar with this channel, you know that I like to share things that I think viewers and people in the market considering the board should know about so they can make a great decision about their board purchase. And to be honest about it, there is not a whole lot of nitpicks when you talk about this board. But I feel like we have to address the elephant in the room, which is the fact that some people do not like the styling of this board. And to be honest about it, that is kind of a subjective thing, and I choose to focus on things that are a little bit more objective when you talk about boards, when you talk about range, acceleration, torque, ride feel, and things like that. But I want to share a thought, and I've been thinking about how can I explain how I feel about the looks that people say. And the best example I could think about was, if you're looking for a significant other, would you rather have a significant other that is a 10 that is just beautiful and amazing looking wise, but they bring nothing to the table substance wise? Or would you rather have a significant other that's maybe like an 8 or a 9, but they bring a lot to the table substance wise? And that's what I feel like the Lycaon Swift board is all about. Some people may not like the aesthetics and the way the board looks, but when you talk about from an objective standpoint, when you talk about range, torque, acceleration, power, all of those things are to an incredibly high level. And I think that it's something that people would really enjoy. And that's going to take us into my final thoughts. As I mentioned a little bit earlier, I think that this board is incredibly impressive. They're giving you one of the best battery setups from a board that is in this price point. You're going to get ridiculous amounts of range. They're giving you very nice motor situation, and this board has a top speed of upwards of 30 miles an hour. I was able to get this board up to 27 miles an hour, and I wasn't even trying. I wasn't even fully throttled because I was doing a lot of riding with my son, and I didn't want to leave him behind. The truck setup is very nice. The board carves amazingly, in my opinion. I didn't even have to tighten up the trucks. When you talk about this concave and this deck, the concave is amazing. It really allows you to lock your feet in place, and then this grip tape feels incredibly grippy. It's one of the grippiest stock grip tapes that I've ever experienced, to be honest about it. The battery setup is off the chain. You're gonna get ridiculous amounts of range on this board, which is amazing for a board that is in this price point. I enjoy doing reviews when a product is just easy to discuss because they did so many things well. And I think Lycaon did a lot of things well about this board. And I think that people that purchase this board are going to be incredibly satisfied with their purchase. If you want to learn more about this particular board, please take a moment to view the link in my description. Remember, PEVs allow you to be everywhere. And as always, I'll see you at the top because the bottom is too crowded. Peace.
Here we go. Yeah.
We got the teeth,
the teeth. Look at the teeth. Yeah, we're ready. We talking about skateboard what? Skateboard who? Skateboard me. I'm ready. Let's do it. Let's do it.
Oh my God.